been obviously did amazing at TI, but ever since then it's been very inconsistent. They're getting dropped out of Major, out of Boston early. Other tournaments they go to, they don't look that interesting. Seems like they don't have the game figured out like the other teams.
Yeah, it was definitely tough for them at Boston, though, facing off against, I think it was EG early on.
I think
Yeah,
so.
well,
Yeah, and EG, I thought, had a great run at that
Looks like
event.
we got a draft, boys.
We have got a draft. We are underway as well. 2 bans each already gone out. And we've seen the Warlock and the Meepo gone as well. The Axe this time, DC get rid of. They didn't like that, so that's gone alongside the Monkey King.
So I feel like what this shows is that DC doesn't feel comfortable with the Legion Commander opening without Warlock.
Right.
So instead they're going to try something similar, Crystal Maiden Aura across the map plus Abaddon.
Yeah, it's something they've actually been banning out against TNC a lot, so maybe with the first pick here, they were thinking it'd be good to pick that up quite early here.
Banning which hero? The Abaddon? Or
the Crystal Maiden.
Okay.
Yeah, and TNC have Slaughter gets countered by the Abaddon, but the Nyx Assassin, this is a hero that some teams really like versus Radiance heroes, and Abaddon is one of those. Also, he can use mana burn on him, try to remove his mana pool, especially going into a late game. They don't really carry magic wands, and their mana region is not so good. But there is a Crystal Maiden on DC side, so that mana burn might not be as strong. Like, you wouldn't think that the mana region is that important, but believe me, it is. Like, it's actually countering Nyx's mana burn in a bit of a way.
Also banned out the Weaver, so no Weaver for Mason this time round for DC.
It's kind of a really important hero in this series, actually.
Yeah, it has been.
Like almost
Back and
every single
forwards
game.
as well.
Yeah,
Picked either side and then banned.
Have we seen it a lot in other games? I particularly
Not
haven't
really.
seen
Not
it very
really.
much. Yeah, it's,
No.
it's particularly been Digital Chaos and I guess TNC this time.
Maybe it's because both of these teams really prioritize like strong laning matchups, kind of a thing. And if you can throw a Weaver somewhere else, it just makes your other lanes so much simpler. You're like, I can just ignore that lane.
And
Don't have
that's
to go.
one thing that TNC adapted to into the second game. They understood that all DC really care about is like how to win these lanes, and then they picked the Weaver, they picked the Templar in a good matchup, and the Dazzle that will allow them to win the lanes. Lina banned out, one of Cuckoo's favorite heroes. They already have 2 stuns for setup. Very good.
So what's the Abaddon counter here? Like an Ursa or something like that? What can lane well against Digital Chaos's Abaddon?
Abaddon's good. Ursa's good. Lifestealer's good. These kind of melee guys that don't really care too much about the shield or can create stacks. For example, Slark is very good as well. I really like that as a hero, and I know that Raven likes to play Slark as well. We also got Terrorblade, but it looks like they will ban that out themselves. The thing about Abaddon right now is, like, if you don't really help him, he's going to have a little bit of a problem getting to level 6. So we saw at DAC he had a very low win rate, right? And the biggest reason for that was because there was a nerf to XP gain to how fast you get to level 6. Abaddon only becomes extremely powerful once he hits that timing at level 6 and just becomes this dead laner that you can't go to. You go to his lane, you're just wasting your time. There's no point to just try and kill him if you're just going to walk away with his ultimate. So
you're saying if you do delay him from that initial level 6 plus the nerf, it just made him too bad? That's basically it, right?
Yeah, it just made it so that the opportunity to kill him became much longer, the timing that you have. So all these like roamers like Monkey, King, Earth Spirit, whatever, they have a bigger window at level when he's level 4 and 5 to kill him, get back a lot of the XP that he's already soaked up in the lane.
Gotcha.
One of the heroes I actually think I might see Digital Chaos, they ran, I believe, Bristleback, and they tried to run it against the Abaddon. I don't know how well that hero works, and obviously they probably had some other, I think it was Rubik and Tree. So, that gives you more options against that hero, but
Spectre.
Yeah.
I kind of like this because Slardar and Nyx are both good at finding heroes and then initiating on them. So Spectre is always going to be able to follow up on that. It's been pretty popular this term. I don't know if it has a positive win rate or not, but I feel like it's been successfully used very often.
I believe I've seen it win almost at least a ton of games.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whether it has a high win rate or not, I felt like it's been a very impressive hero overall.
Is that a new pick?
Undying. Ooh.
Somebody picked Undying yet?
I'm
Not sure.
I mean, that's a very good hero versus Spectre, though.
It has been picked.
If you want,
picked a few times.
actually, Dubu has already played Undying in this tournament,
Okay.
if I recall.
The Spectre has a 61.5% win rate off the back of 13 played.
Yeah. My only concern right now is, like, Abaddon and Undying, they're both pretty good versus Spectre. They're these 5-manny heroes who have sustain, and it's very hard for Spectre to just haunt into that. And right now, if they both lane against the Spectre, I don't think she's going to be able to farm in any way, really. And Dazzle, Slaughter, they're good laners, but if you throw in a Crystal Maiden into that tri-lane, you're not going to be able to really accomplish anything.
Yeah, we're at 99 pictal band.
So close.
It's going to stop right there.
I was going to say, it depends whether you went for 90 to 99.
I think I went 90 to 99.
Yeah, I did too.
That's okay.
I was going a little risky with the 101.
Only, I promised one bet. It was the over 1,000 GPM. It's always going to happen.
100% win rate.
Yeah. I'll get you 400 points. No more promises.
Absolutely. 1040 is the record here at the Kiev Major, which was on an anti-mage yesterday.
Yeah. So right now it's a bit... we're not too sure if the Nyx or the Slaughter will be the offlaner. It could depend on what they think the Slark might do, but most likely it's going to be a roaming Slaughter. Nyx's roaming is not that good. You can use him as a laner and just try to burn the Abaddon's mana, so he can't really lane against the Spectre. That could be one idea. And if you do that, then the Slark can't solo the Slaughter. That's also a good thing.
One thing I've been seeing done is that, you know, you put Nyx in that offlane, and then once he hits 6, he starts roaming around. You start giving Slaughter that farm, you know, making sure he gets those levels, and now you start working together and getting those ganks.
So DC will ban out the Tinker again, just like game 1. It's a very scary hero, and they don't really have any catch on DC's end right now. And the TNC would get the absolute 10th last pick. It's very, very scary to just leave a Tinker in a pool like that. Dragon Knight, okay. You know what I think they could pick here? A Timbersaw.
It's good against Slark.
Really like that pick.
A mid-Timber here would be on the spot.
I don't know if I've seen Cuckoo play it, though. I'm not 100% sure myself, but it just
I feel like I've seen him play it in the past.
I feel like that too, but I'm not 100.
Yeah.
Not sure. Dragon Knight's going to be really good at it. He's going to be their tower hitter, basically. They have no other heroes that are good for that. They're good at taking fights and keeping heroes alive, but they needed somebody to hit a building, and Slark can't do that very well. So Dragon Knight fits into this, and he's also a better person to heal than somebody like a Crystal Maiden, because Crystal Maiden's not as tanky.
Yeah, so Cuckoo does play Timbersaw. Just
does,
to
but
confirm
hasn't
that.
really played it very much recently.
They would have trouble hitting buildings.
Not one of his top 8 heroes since 7.0.
And the OD.
Indeed.
Okay. So
very different. That is one of his top 3 heroes played since 7.0.
That's good. That's a very good synergy hero with the Dazzle itself. If you buy mana boots on Dazzle, you pretty much have infinite mana too. So you have a lot of sustain. You can just 5-man together, and OD will also give them a little bit better team fight against Abaddon and Dragon Knight, who are just very tanky, and is also a stacks hero. So we talked about how Slark could be good against Abaddon, but OD, same reason, stacks.
Okay. Let's go through our final predictions of the evening, and we'll start with Conrad.
For me, I personally like TNC's draft right here. They have the Spectres for that, you know, ultra late game, and then the Slaughter and the Nyx to be able to, you know, try and get that team fight action going on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to how big the Slark and Abaddon get, like for DC. But going into the late game, I'm gonna have to favor TNC's lineup.
Okay, 2 for TNC.
Well, that doesn't leave me much confidence. I'm 0 for 2 in this series right now, and very, very unconfidently I'm going to pick DC. I like their early game lineup. I feel like they might be able to pressure okay. I don't feel like the OD fits in super well, so I think DC. I like DC's draft better.
Okay, all right. So DC for Purge, 2 for TNC. We do head into our final game of the night, and the final game of our 4th and final series between DC and TNC. Who's going to take the advantage into the round of 16? Let's find out with our commentary team.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. And indeed, this deciding game now coming up between the two sides, TNC versus DC. And again, something a little bit different. DC bringing the Slark into the fray. They're going to be stealing stats. They've got the Undying as well to steal even more. And then in return, TNC, well, we're going to steal some stuff as well. They pick up the OD as the final pick. As 1437 mentioned, there's a lot of great synergy between the OD and sort of the support situation with the Dazzle. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Gods, what are your thoughts on this draft?
Kind of, I mean, my immediate thoughts with DC is like, let's 5-man, let's push some towers. You see Undying, DK, Abaddon, CM. Outside of the Slack, the other 4 heroes is very like objective focused. You got good push, good sustain, heroes that will try and limit what Spectre can do. Spectre doesn't really haunt into these 5-man death ball sustained lineups very well, so we'll see what TNC's solution is going to be for that. I think the OD pick does give him like a pretty good hero to fight with. The team fight you mentioned, the ability to just build up those instacks on Abaddon can be very effective, so see how things work, and we can see also how much they can pressure the Slack, because if Slack just has uncontested fight, he could also get out of control this game.
Yeah, we'll see at the moment, Tims up on this top lane, eyeing up Mason and Newbee. Just have to be a little careful. We'll have, of course, Nyx Assassin in the neighborhood as well. But yeah, won't go for the bounty rune snipe. We'll head back and allow DC to claim what is rightfully theirs. Mason to grab it. But at the moment, yeah, Sam H, do you think, are we going to see Tim stay up here because, as you said, they want to put pressure on the Slark, or will Sam be left on his own on the Nyx?
Looks like he's probably going to be left on his own. He's going to be pulling some creep waves off. There's no real point Slada sharing the XP. You want to give Nyx the solo XP as much as possible. Although Nyx is going to have to work for this creep wave. He'll get Decay spammed a bit and eventually get away. The Boots First is pretty much a build where you have to get that creep wave. This Boots First does not allow you to trade hits. Very limited in what you can do, and yeah, Sam H will manage to get the creep wave back to his house. I'd be surprised if Slada stays up here. I feel like the Nyx wants the soul XP. I mean, he got this boots. He worked hard to get this XP.
But look at this dive from Dubu. He's diving to tier 1. So Slada says, right, I want to go for this. Dubu does have 8 stacks of the decay, but he's underneath the tower.
Find him now.
He's going to be able to turn around and drop another decay, which will continue to buy him time. He's got 16 stacks of it.
Though.
He's creating space, wasting time.
Needs this impale into a crush. Slada's very far away, though.
Dubu's going to get the chance to hit another 2-man decay by the looks of it. Turns around, bam. Actually only grabs Sam H with it. Yeah. But it's allowing Dubu to just dive in, walk around, and they can't quite kill him.
Okay. I mean, he kind of does. He's very annoying there, but at the end of the day, Nyx and Slada still get that XP and farm under the tower with that one wave. And Dubu's going to lose all his stacks, and suddenly he's going to be on very low HP. So he has to be careful about how he plays this one. Swinging through the lane may look to... I mean, you don't really want to suicide to Newts anymore. That's not really the best idea these days. So he will make the full wraparound back home, it seems.
On bottom lane, Raven and Rio just laying down a bit of harassment onto Bulba. He has the shield, and to remove that poison touch will be fine. And Rio should get... enough space down here, you feel like. I mean, Dubu still has to be very careful. He's playing it greedy. He wants to grab the bounty rune.
That's kind of what you lose those decay stacks, you actually get down to 0 HP.
Top lane, TNC actually finding the opening onto Demon and trapped in the trees. That will be your first blood as the two of them get the kill. A lot of stuns, a lot of control. You've got to be careful getting caught out of position.
Big find. Yeah, Dubu's actually just ran around, like, since, like, it looked good where he gets those 2 heroes, runs away, but, like, since you lose all that HP and he hasn't got back to base to heal, he's just going to be lurking around, stealing bounty runes. He's waiting for Bulba to come Shrine. Bulba probably doesn't even want to use his Shrine. He's still got plenty of HP and mana, but I think Dubu's just like, dude, I need the HP. I need to go back to my lane. We got to Shrine now, otherwise I'm useless, so...
Yeah. He's still got a bit of time as well with an Arcane Rune, so if he can get in and drop a few spams of the Decay, it will be nice in that bottom lane. Definitely. Mid lane matchup, going very, very nice with Cuckoo. Top lane, another movement in again with the stuns onto Mason. Dubu will TP across. Make sure that they don't dive in deeper for Mason. Mason's still at the top of the CS, so the harassment not slowing his farm down at all so far. Tims comes in with another crush, a little off the point. Bottom lane, again, trying their best to harass Bulba out, but now he's level 3, 2 points in the Aphotic Shield. Very hard for them to do it. In fact, he just turns and swipes straight in to Rio, forcing him back. But yeah, that mid lane matchup, 15 for 6 on Cuckoo, as 8 for 1 on Arbed. OD having a very strong mid lane.
Arbed's getting wrecked so far. Only just then picked up a couple extra CS to get him up to the 8 CS. This has been fantastic start for the OD, and likely to continue to be that way because CM's kind of jungling. I think we will see an early smoke from Demon, hit level 3, get that Nova Frostbite, and perhaps look for a kill. Problem is Arbed is using all his mana to farm, so he's not going to be able to really kill on his own. He has to bring in someone like the Undying if he wants to kill the OD at mid, so not easy for Demon to find those smoke opportunities.
This top lane as well, they may not necessarily be able to slow down the farm of the Slark. I wonder if they're getting most TS on the Nyx, but it doesn't actually look like they are, Sam. Not getting a lot of money. We'll try and make a move on to Dubu. Again, I mean, Dubu's a hard hero to go on. Even if they hit the 2 stuns, it's very likely that Dubu will be able to keep himself alive at this stage of the game with the decay.
Yep.
So, I mean, ideally, these two need to be finding the CM in the lane, but as we've seen, you know, since that first blood, Jimmy's been keeping himself well away from the two of them.
Yeah, he's just power farming his way through the jungling, managed to find his boots from that, get some more wards for his team, and we'll see if he heads back top now with the levels. With a 1-1-1 build, he can be a lot more effective, and yeah, he'll TP up top, and they're ready to fight TNC and try and regain control of what they feel is their lane. They're like, this is our safe lane, let's try and do something about this.
Yeah. And for Jewel, with the control of the Frostbite, a pounce, a couple of decays, they could certainly get a kill. They'll look towards Tims. There's the first into the second stun. Not enough to get the kill on Mason, but it looks like it will be enough to hold them back. So both sides struggling to get a kill on this top lane.
Good. Just quick impale, and you kind of make sure, like, okay, is he going to Dark Pact? Because if he Dark Pacts off the impale, well, you've got a Slider Crush to use after it. But he was trying to hold the Dark Pact for a little bit later, and as a result, no real damage or threat posed by DC.
Again, Dubu just scouting out Tims, who was sitting in the tree line at the side, forcing these two back.
Yep, still, it's a free farming Slark. Not necessarily a major problem right now. You've got Spectre not farming as well as the Slark, but Spectre's going to hit a level 6 and be able to rotate around and make some plays happen. And Slark kind of is a bit more passive than that until he gets like a Shadow Blade, or if there's a dive under a tower. He's not going to look to get involved like a Spectre does early on, and that's, I think, a big reason why we're seeing a lot of Spectres, because yeah, it's this kind of greedy farming carry, but it can also get involved from time to time around the haunt.
We'll see mid one as well. In the mid lane, Tims is coming through with a rotation. If Cuckoo can get a setup with an Astral, they can have a go. Albert is fairly tanky on this DK and does have backup coming in from the rest of DC. They will make the play here with the Astral setup. Tims looking for the positioning, but very, very quick stun from Arbed. Yeah, gets Tims before he can stun. The Frostbite's there from Demon. Immediately the Tombstone's removed, though. Good reaction from TNC, making sure that DNC can't stick around for more. And again, both teams just saving each other, keeping themselves alive.
Yep. Unlikely a kill even if he times that stun. With the DC rotation coming in, they were going to be able to protect the DK just fine. So even though it was a misplay from the Slider, it wasn't really of much consequence. And yep, they get out, they kill the Tomb. Tomb's a huge chunk of gold, like for a support. I believe it was the Dazzle who got that little 125 gold bounty, but even so, OD's going to continue to just dominate this CS battle in mid lane. It's pretty tough lane for the DK, but he has managed to kind of catch up a little bit with the bottle, breathe fire. He's been able to spam a little bit better now, but he's going to have to buy some of these cheap, cost-effective items like Raindrop just to keep himself alive. Poor Man's Shield, items you typically don't want to maybe have on a Dragon Knight.
Mason still definitely they're going to be the potential issue for TNC. Top of the farm. Space on the top lane, again, doing their best to put pressure on, but I mean, what is the best way that TNC can do something about this slot? Because between these two heroes, you know, Tims and Sam H, at the moment, they just don't have the burst or control to bring them down. They need to have a +1.
Yeah, bottom lane, bit of a dive going in now.
Let's see if they can get away with this kill onto Raven. Bursted low by the Aphotic Shield. Tims comes in with the stun. Bulba pops the borrowed time, looking for Raven in the tree line, but a quick TP out will save him. Yeah, he could join this fight back in if they want to look for the kills in return. They brought in 3. Another crush onto Arbed. Arbed forcing them back, though, with the Dragon Form. There's the Haunt. He'll look for Bulba, but Bulba's got the shield up. The Soul Rip heal as well from Dubu keeps Bulba alive. Raven can't stick around for that kill. Maybe they can get something else. Dubu hitting big 3-man decays, keeping TNC back. And the Horn used to no avail, not getting a kill in return. And again, it just seems that these teams, they've both got so many ways of saving each other that it's so hard for them to actually seal a kill.
Yeah, Spectre doesn't want to, like the 4v4, 5v5 type fight there is not really suitable for a Spectre to get much of a Haunt. You really want your team to go for a smoke gank and find a solo kill. Like, try and use the Haunt for the DK at mid lane, but ultimately, he had to TP himself home. He wants to get back to the lane, and a fight's going on. So he sees that Abaddon was like down to 100 HP, but a shield plus Soul Rip heals him back up. And problem is now, Spectre can't really farm this lane. Like, I'm not sure what the Spectre's plan is going to be, whether you fall back to the jungle or something. Abaddon undying with CM Aura. CM's even here. This is a death trap being at this bottom lane for Raven.
I'll be a TP from the Nyx Assassin coming down towards the bottom lane. Has the Vendetta. Just hit the 6. But it's, again, very hard for him to do something. Yeah, Sentry's down. DC know what's up. Yep. And they are not going to get caught out by this first Vendetta rotation from Sam H.
Bob is just spamming Aphotic Shields to harass the Spectre. Already down to half HP. Spectre does not really want to fight at this point. The CM Oro is just so nice to play this Abaddon with.
Raven has to be so careful. They could dive. Now Sam H will make the move. Demon will be bursted down immediately.
Okay.
So even though the Newers in the neighborhood still end up losing a life to Sam H's rotation.
They give Spectre the tomb. That's some nice team play there as well. 150 gold, and that's the earn charges. I think more important than anything, those earn charges is just like a saving grace for Raven. He was getting harassed. He was down to half HP. Suddenly, you just find a CM kill. It's not really a big major kill. Sector doesn't even really get too involved, but you get these earn charges. Now you can go offensive, and Bulba
Has to be careful with 4
could be in
heroes still
trouble.
down here. Sam H holding onto the stun as well, waiting for the borrowed time to come off. He has still got it available. There it is to finish the kill. Arbed and Demon have come in with the rotation. Turn towards Tim's, the lowest at the moment. The Poison Touch will hold Arbed back with the slow. DC won't find the initial kill in return, and it looks like they won't find it at all as TNC back off and get themselves the 3rd kill on the map. Of course, all whilst this is happening, Mason continuing to get space up top, so they are creating space for the Slark DC with the focus that the rest of the team is putting on this bottom lane.
Seems TNC finally like, all right, enough space for Mason, because OD actually goes top with his DD rune. Could have continued to free farm mid and perhaps pressure the tower, but he kind of says like, actually, I can kind of 1v1 this Slark for now. So force the Slark back into the jungle a bit.
And making another go here onto the Abaddon. They know that borrowed time is still unavailable. Bulba's going to fall, doesn't get the chance for the Aphotic Shield. The Tombstone's drop, but again, it's going to be more money for Raven. Gets the final touch. Mason's coming with the counter rotation, but he can't get the leap initiation. Could be in a bit of trouble himself. Shadow Dance was used on the top lane. It's still on cooldown for 20 seconds. Mason ends up giving away his life. The hero that DC were kind of relying on as he was having that opening whilst the rest of the team was fighting, turning up to the fight, giving his life away. Absolutely the opposite of what DC needs to happen in these first 11 minutes.
This last like 2 minutes has been a catastrophe for DC. I think even without any kills, it was like a 2-0 kill score, maybe 3-0. Wasn't going all too bad for DC. Slark was free farming, DK's lane was at least somewhat salvaged, and Abaddon was really starting to apply pressure. We could see Spectre struggling to farm. Like, they had the shield on the creep wave, they were pressuring the tower. It really felt like this bottom lane was about to fall apart for Spectre, but Sam H shows up, he saves the day with that initial CM kill, and since then, they just snowballed this bottom lane, and it feels like DC have just kind of just overextended and really tried to force things too much down here. Feeding the tomb money, that's 300 gold to Spectre between those two tombs.
It's a lot. And that kill as well. You know, Mason, he's about 20 CS ahead, but because he gave that kill down there where Raven was involved, certainly net worth-wise, Raven and Mason are on the same level again.
Yeah. I mean, Bulba dying twice in a row as well. That was such a great call to go in him instantly when he comes back to lane. It was 5 seconds before his borrowed time, and you betcha TNC knew that he didn't quite have it yet. They were fully committing and knowing they could get that kill if they were quick about it.
Top lane, Mason will return to farming on his own on this safe lane. Bottom lane, the rest of DC will continue to look to put the pressure on bottom. Sam H has come in with a Vendetta, but they will need to deal with the sentry still out of range here. So DC do still have that detection out. Raven continues to farm, but feeling very safe in doing so with both the Nyx Assassin and Dazzle behind him. Mid lane, it's been left open. Cuckoo, he's soloing this tier 1 for the time being. We'll start to see some of DC maybe come across. We've got DK thinking about it. Arbed will head over, might be able to get the deny. Oh, he's not going to be there in time. Cuckoo picks it up. Arbed actually pops the dragon form, but Cuckoo just hastes away. Rio's TP'd across, so it may also be questionable how much he can get done in terms of pressure with the Elden Dragon form. Sam H also in the mid lane now with the Vendetta, eyes on Dubu. We'll see what they're going to do here. Cuckoo still with the use of the haste, will be held back. There's the haunt, the heal bomb as Raven jumps in, blows up the Undying. They'll move up to the shrine. They do have to be a little careful. The shrine is available. DC bringing in the full force. That Saturn DC's drop though. DC very low on mana. They'll now pop the shrine. Mason, he heals himself up with a Shadow Dance, will survive. So TNC don't get any more kills.
Great disengage. So the fact that they commit very heavily to the shrine and then they still manage to all get out against a 4-man TP. They tried to like burst down the DK, but once he gets the shrine, they don't mess around. They're like, all right, we're out of here. There's zero chance of fighting under the shrine. Multiple TPs. TNC just say, let's cut our losses. And it's what losses? Still no kills for DC. The loss there is just like some ulti usage, but they still get a kill on the support Undying. Doesn't really change all too much, but Spectre's instantly back bottom, continuing to farm. Spectre's farming at a pretty decent rate now. Everyone's kind of achieving their role right now, and Sada's taking over the top lane. He's going to have a fast blink. Tim's is already up to 1,500 gold.
On bottom lane, Sam H will be unable to find something again as they do have the vision back down. DC being very good at trying to recover the state of this bottom lane and keep it safe for Bulba to find farm. And he does have friends with him. Sam H, he should realize as he heads up. Dubu is hiding in the tree line, actually, so may not be aware that Dubu's there, but yeah, he sees the rest of them coming in behind him.
They just don't have the best damage right now to actually punish those plays. Like, I feel like I've seen Sam H numerous occasions at bottom run into sentry wards, and DC see him, but it's like, well, you see him, but you can't initiate on him. You've got a frostbite, you go on him, he's just going to carapace and walk away, or carapace and then impale you, and you actually go down. So seeing this Nyx is one thing, but being able to kill him is a whole nother ballgame, and that's something that, yeah, DC just don't have the option to do until Slack gets like a Shadow Blade and can initiate through that.
This time around, looks like DC will be able to finish off the tier 1 on the bottom lane.
Look at Cuckoo, though.
He's in the mid lane. Cuckoo's nearly
doing way more
soloing a
damage.
tier 2.
He's just continued to pressure this lane. He's doing what you'd expect DK to be doing. Like, the enemy mid laner leaves the lane.
If they can get the kill on Raven, then that would be massive. Haunt's still on cooldown for 10 seconds. Raven will try and juke it into the trees, and in fact, the juke's successful. The Tinker Ward, we'll see him. Do they have the stun there? If anything, they have got the Frostbite just in time, and they will surely get the kill on Raven. Yeah, the Breathe Fire finishes him off. So they get the Spectre kill.
What a ward. That is... Whew. It's a PogChamp ward right there. That is some good plays, but big picture-wise, it still feels really good for TNC, even having lost their Spectre to that good play.
Can Arba get the deny?
Wants the kill.
Oh, they're going to get it with Mason jumping in as well.
Okay.
Oh, that, I mean, DC finding Spectre down bottom, getting the OT in the mid lane, keeping that tier 2 alive, and enabling them to deny if they wish to.
That's
Absolutely plays they need. Their first 2 kills in the game so far, but they are big ones.
Yep. You kill the top net worth here in the OD, and you kill the Spectre, who's always a danger here you want to shut down. Not the Radiance farming Spectre for Raven, going for casual Yasha, going to go for a more fighting-oriented build. I think recognizing that DC have this very early game push-oriented lineup, he wants to come online as fast as possible. Bottom lane, Sam H getting initiated on.
Mason's going to take the solo kill. It pops the Shadow Dance so he can chase him down. And Mason really climbing the ranks now.
It's a big streak ended too.
Absolutely. And look, suddenly, it felt like, a couple of minutes ago, a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes max, he was the same as Spectre. Now with these movements, the big kills he's been involved in, bam, suddenly back again. 2,500 net worth ahead of what Raven's achieved.
Those 3 kills kind of amount to like a 3.5 thousand gold swing going DC's way. That's a lot. I mean, you just killed all 3 cores in succession. You kill the carry, you kill the mid.
Getting the money on Mason.
Yep, kill the carry, kill the mid, kill the offlaner who's on a killing spree. And, I mean, took a bottom tier 1 tower, I believe, during that sequence of events as well. So all of that suddenly changes the state of this game. It really felt like DC were, I mean, they were kind of falling apart. They weren't able to find any success with their early game movements. The Undying was pretty ineffective. Demon's first few ganks didn't really amount to much, but suddenly things are looking very, very different. But smoke around the Slatter blink dagger timing is going to be the name of the game. TNC want to play around Cuckoo's strength right now. He's very farm, very tanky with the Dragon Lance. 1500 HP, level 13. This is the strongest hero on the map right now, and TNC are going to just hug him, try and bait him, or just force some towers. They want this OD to get involved.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any reaction from DC to this tier 1 push that will come through from TNC, but already low on health. Very likely to just let it go here to this push.
Yeah, they should know. I mean, Bulba doesn't even stay around in the trees. He TPs out before anything comes his way. Bottom lane being vacant is the biggest obvious sign right now. No one farming that for TNC, and will be a full commitment up top. But ultimately, TNC say, you're not going to defend it. We'll take the towers then. If we're not going to find the fight, towers will do for now. And I think if you're DC, you really got to look for that trade. Like if you're not going to defend towers, you've got to split push and pressure other lanes, which is what Arbed's on at bottom. With Mason's help, they're going to start pressuring this tier 2 tower of their own. But TNC, free Roshan, I imagine. Don't see an easy way to contest this one as much as maybe DC have hit some okay item timings now with the Vlads and the Shadow Blade. They're just out of position to contest this one.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very quick as well. With the Medallion and with the Corrosive from Tim's, I'll take it in a very, very quick time. Cuckoo to pick up the Aegis, as you already talked about. They're their big kind of hero on the map at the moment, and now he's going to have that extra life. Yep. With these sort of group up and pushes, it's going to be even harder for DC to deal with. Mason, very close to picking up his next item. He's got the money for the Echo Saber. So a very respectable timing on this slot. 19 minutes in to have the Echo and the Shadow Blade complete.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic. Trying to find the Nyx, perhaps. Nyx is near this sentry ward around this bottom shrine. Something you can kind of see both teams doing right now is putting sentries with their observers.
We'll see if Mason gets tempted to go for something. With the two of them there, he does have to be a little careful, and yeah, he's playing it safe. Not going to make any too brash plays on the slot. Yep.
But yeah, you can see kind of around that bottom shrine, both teams, sentry observer duos. Often, like when you're like these are effectively wards to scout Invis heroes. Like this Slack is constantly shadow blading into the Radiant jungle. The sentry with the observer ward scouts that out. Similarly, the Nyx assassin doing the same thing to try and clear out their own jungle will get scouted by that observer sentry combo. So sentries alone don't really fulfill that role because you don't get the actual vision from them. And DC have been spending a lot of money on these sentries. Like, it's actually being very heavily reflected in their supports right now. Very low net worth for both CM and Undying. It hurts a lot, but this is how you've got to play against a Nyx assassin. You've got to be proactive and hope it pays dividends. You get that Nyx killed once or twice with the sentries, they pay for themselves. Unfortunately, if you don't find the kills, you're going to be struggling. Abed gets just pelted at bottom lane by the Hurricane Pike. Casually just throwing out for some harass and some insta-steal.
On top lane, this dive here onto Raven, bringing them the kill as Mason just moves in with the Shadow Dance, diving the tower. Tims has come forward. Frostbite on him will hold him back as they'll look to try and punish DC's play, but it will be unsuccessful. Mason gets himself back to safety, TP's
bottom lane,
out.
Meanwhile.
As the fight, oh my goodness, Sanity's eclipse for Cuckoo, but Mason's there. You know, straight down to the bottom, pops the Aegis. Can they kill him a second time? That's the question. It doesn't look like they can. Too bad a mana. Cuckoo moving forward. The damage coming out from this OD enough to warrant a double kill. So he may have lost the Aegis, but he gets the big kills. Bringing down the DK, getting the Undying as well. So TNC finding the trades, even though they lose that Spectre on the top lane.
Yeah, they lose the Spectre, but in some ways, I mean, the OD is really their one position in this game. Not, I mean, it's very heavily reflected in where the net worths are, but also the way they're playing more around Cuckoo. They're happy to have this Spectre be like solo farming lanes and just haunting in for a bit of cleanup. As long as Cuckoo's continuing to get further and further ahead, I don't think TNC are too phased by this. He's going to get another tower now at bottom lane. His farm is getting absurd at this point as TNC are taking control of this bottom side of the map, and we'll see what they can do. Raven does definitely want to progress and will do so with this Manta style pickup now, making him a much harder target to actually gank, and will be a lot more durable because of this.
Top lane Boba. We've got the NA build here with the Solar Crest into the Radiance.
Yeah. No Midas is the main thing we're seeing, but with the XP changes, perhaps just doesn't see it as a value way to get towards his talents. Doesn't go for the XP gain as well, so I mean, if you get the XP gain talent, then you get some good synergy with the Midas pickup, but just wants to get whatever fighting items. 5-man death ball we talked about.
Look at this smoke. TNC wrapping around from the high ground. They put the Haunt. They found Newbee jumping in straight away with the Cuckoo Blink. Dubu's out and down. They pick up the CM on the side as well.
Yep. Cause quickly, like, let's not do anything about that. Let's ditch our supports. And it really has been a game of poverty for CM and Undying. Constantly, I mean, their job right now is just to keep buying sentries, keep buying detection, do what they can. Unfortunately for them, they haven't even been able to get involved in the kills. The kills have come entirely from just Mason making like solo plays for the most part. He's been 3 of the kills. I mean, both supports have only got 1 assist and no kills between the 4 kills. It really has been some good ganks by Mason keeping them in this game, but yeah, the end result is no item progression in sight for CM or Undying. Not going to be seeing any Midases anytime soon, even if they want to go for them.
Yeah, Mason absolutely needing this BKB to really be able to fight up against TNC a little easier, especially with the damage that Cuckoo is outputting on the OD.
There you go DC, they smoke up. They've had enough of giving up free towers. They want to fight knowing that Haunt is down, and Spectre actually TP's bottom, so there's no return. There's no Haunt to come back in. And
yeah, they're already all getting out there.
Yeah.
Tim's
TNC.
maybe left, but the sentry's
sentry,
out.
yeah.
He knows what's up.
Yep.
And TNC will avoid this gank entirely. Mid lane is actually going to be where the action is. There's the Astral setup from Cuckoo. Tim's moving in for the crush, and Bulba very, very deep. Does have the borrowed time, but this is going to be a fair bit of int that Cuckoo's starting to stack up. Abed moving forward and will be forced to back out as Rio drops the weave, and DC not wanting to fight with their DK, beginning to lose the armor.
Yep. Fairly disciplined from TNC. They don't try and dive the Abaddon or anything. They're just happy to back it off a little bit and acknowledge that DC are quickly rotating to protect and help Bulba there.
Yeah, Cuckoo really just going ham this game. 13,000 net worth. We're seeing, as in situations like that, if the Abaddon's on the front, stealing a bit of intel before the fight could be massive. The Sanity's Eclipse certainly going to hit hard and hit home on some of these heroes on DC with the intelligence disparities able to build up with those right clicks. And TNC, again, moving around across the mid lane, potentially Sam H, Vendetta. 10 seconds until he has it again if he wants to make another movement. Cuckoo already forcing down this bottom lane as TNC look to set up to bring down the second tier 2 of the game so far.
And TNC is a 5-man unit and are very strong right now, playing around their vision as well. They've got some nice deep observer wards in this area. They've got the blink initiations ready on their chain stunners, and both Tims and Sam H have been very effective this game on this Slatter next duo. They've been partnered up in the top lane for the early game laning stage, and since then they've been moving around and finding numerous kill setups for the team. Top lane though, Raven's TP'd in, needs to be careful. At the same time, it looks like he is slightly bait. Rio is sitting behind him ready with a Grave as well as Solar Crest. And I think DC are actually aware of that as they did not initiate on him with Mason.
I mean, what is the planning for DC? I mean, it looks like they're still potentially waiting for Mason to have the BKB complete before they look to fight.
Item-wise, the BKB is the big one. That's where suddenly I mean, OG's kind of useless. He does no damage into BKBs. Can't Arcane Orb, can't ulti.
I like that as well, Cuckoo. He just went up to the high ground and denied the bounty ring. He said, I don't need this. I don't want this in my life. Who needs money when he's already as rich as he is? That's
fair enough.
How confident Cuckoo's feeling.
Good on him, you know? It's like the Sumail, you know, you don't get that respawn town on lane, I'm not going to die.
Yeah, you want to play it cool.
Yep. But, yeah, I mean, as far as how they play, I think fight with BKBs, they're going to go for it not just on Slack, but Dragon Knight. You have 2 BKBs, you smoke up, you run at TNC. You say, what is this OD going to do against our 10-second BKBs? And the answer is pretty much absolutely nothing. He can try and save himself or a teammate by using Astral to put them under and then try and blink out defensively. Kiting around the BKBs is what you have to do, but those BKBs could catch him by surprise, and if Slack can hit some good pounces, see him gets the Frostbites off, some Dragon Tails, you lock some heroes in place, and suddenly those 10-second BKBs will win you fights if you're DC. And then ideally you turn that first successful team fight with the 10-second BKBs, you want to get Roshan with. But TNC may take Roche before that's even a possibility, because BKB not quite ready on DK, it is ready on Slack, and I guess the question for DC is that enough? Do you need both, or do you go with one?
Gem also picked up now by Sam H, so TNC will be able to continue to have that vision control and make it that little bit harder for Mason to potentially find the initiation that he wants to with the Shadow Blade. And it is going to be the smoke up from TNC as they head over to DC's half of the map. They'll scan up the high ground. They know that they're not going to be walking up into anyone, so they can get this vision advantage from the top. Demon and Dubu could be the ones in trouble, and there's the initial jump in. Cuckoo looking for Dubu. The Haunt comes out as well. They've got a good stun onto Mason. In fact, bringing him incredibly low. Does get the Shadow Knot off, but the Sanities comes through, and Cuckoo brings down a third. They may even get a fourth for his Bulba. Surrounded on the top lane. They have the Astral to play around the borrowed time duration. The stun from Sam H is off, but Tims, he hits his, and TNC pick up a 4th kill. This OD is just too damn massive.
At the bottom. He holds the Astral.
He's chilling. He's like, I got you, boy.
Yep. I'll let you think you can TP out.
Oh my goodness. And it's an effective team wipe there as TNC pick another triple kill for Cuckoo. And they're pushing in on the mid lane. Raven and Sam H knocking on the tier 3. There's no Mason for 25 seconds. Arbed's out for 40 without any buyback. And the jump in comes. Sam H and Raven ready to play deep in the base of DC. And TNC, I mean, they had an absolutely fantastic showing in the previous game, and now coming into this one, Well, sorry, in the first game of the series. No, sorry, it was the second game. Game 2 and Game 3 has just looked
back-to-back stomps in some ways. And I think they've found this fast-paced tempo that suits them. And DC were kind of playing, I mean, Game 1, when they had their success, they were winning lanes, playing early game aggression. It feels like the 2 games since they've slowed it down.
He wants to go, and he's got to find something here. The sentry's out, immediate amplify onto him.
Going to back it up, and won't see a Rax going down, but Shrines open for business as TNC will head their way towards 1. Not sure they'll fully commit to this one in case DC try and take a fight, but still. All right, Dragon Knight's got just the money for the BKB now.
Such a hard game now for DC. I mean, always playing from behind on the slug is never going to be ideal. And especially with how big this Outworld Devourer is. Cuckoo, he really had a really solid game. Just now in the TA and now coming into this one, had a great time in lane.
Yep.
An insane amount of farm. And DC are just struggling to deal with him. I mean, how do they kill this OD?
How do they kill him twice is perhaps going to become the question. Maybe they'll give Spec to the Aegis.
Mason actually forced to put the BKB very early.
No chance of stopping Roche now.
TNC, they've got the armor building up on themselves as well. They'll finish off Roche, no trouble whatsoever. Grab the Aegis and Cuckoo. Yeah, he's looking for some action, and with the Horn Vision onto Dubu. Dubu in a hell of a lot of trouble, getting 2-3 shotted down here. Dubu will fall, as well as Demon, and Raven, he's chasing for more. Has his eyes on towards Bulba. Mason just running himself the hell back to base. And 20-4. DC. An absolute disarray in this third game.
Yeah, the supports were just ineffective. They initially got shut down in lane. At top, it was the Nyx Slider duo killing the CM. The Undying kind of dived the tower. It didn't die, but just ended up roaming around kind of ineffectively. And, I mean, currently, the supports have died 13 times between them. Each of them only has 1 assist. Neither support has been able to really offer anything to DC, and it's really been their downfall here.
Trying to do their best to keep TNC off the racks, but Cuckoo just stands strong with the Solar Cross buffing him up. He is not scared whatsoever. Abed will lead in with the stun. DC will force them back, but not before that they were able to claim the melee racks. And DC can only hope that TNC don't come back in, and TNC, they certainly want to. Cuckoo jumps forward with the Astral. Sam H is already there on the high ground with the opening stun onto Arbe. Gets the BKB off. Mason jumps forward onto the Nyx Assassin, pops his BKB. It's now back available. Mason will claim 1 kill. Moving around to the rest of TNC. Raven shoved down to the low ground. Mason pounces forward, doesn't get the connection. He can't go in for more though. The BKB wears off. He does have Shadow Dance available, but still, respecting the out TNC, the jump in is there. An immediate hex up. Cuckoo with a massive Sanity's Eclipse. Mason to fall. Triple kill for Cuckoo. Ultra kill for the OD. Give that man a goddamn rampage. And there it is. Cuckoo playing out of his mind and destroying Digital Chaos as they take the series 2-1.
Whew. TNC show some serious gumption here as they take game 2 and 3. That was very convincing way to take 2 games after a loss, and I think I mean, they're not really newcomers anymore. TNC have been around a while. They've, I mean, obviously playing at TI with a slightly different roster, but a lot of the core of this team has mostly remained the same. Even, I mean, the captain and former drafter AU's gone, but they're getting more and more experience. But the fact that they can like come back after a game 1 loss at like these big Valve majors, I think really shows that these guys perform well on LAN. Like they've always, I think that's always been one of TNC's kind of strongest traits, is that they play better, and when they're together at these LAN environments, I think partly just the SEA Filipino culture is that you're always playing around your friends at these LAN cities, and it's where you just like you hype each other up, and we see it with TNC. They've just bonded well. They come back, they take game 2, game 3. This game, very convincingly.
Absolutely, yeah, no question about it. Game 2 and game 3, as you mentioned, just TNC playing on another level and DC just being left behind. The Mason Slark, it had that space in lane, but there was always kind of the slip-ups from that first rotation down to the bottom where he gets taken out, and then the transitioning just didn't happen. He got the BKB, but even with that, there just never was the chance to use it because it was always TNC just playing this hyper-aggressive style of gameplay that meant that DC couldn't ever get the jump in themselves.
Yeah, it didn't seem like they had a game plan once the lanes fell apart. DC just looked like every core wanted to farm and do their own thing, and TNC managed to just punish that by playing way faster tempo, taking towers, taking objectives, playing better Dota.
Yeah, some fantastic Dota, fantastic team play from TNC there as they take the series 2-1. That's it for the action. Don't go anywhere, though. We're going back to you, Paul, for a bit of post-game.
Indeed, we will come back for some post-game with our panel members at the end of a very long but very fun day of Dota 2 action, and it is ended very well for TNC as they take their victory over DC. Fantastic wrap-up to the end of the day as well. How impressive have TNC been in this tournament?
Really good. I changed my mind. They're definitely the upset, the underdog team that played really well. I mean, going 3-1 is amazing.
Yeah.
For them. Even the way they closed this last series out, maybe it puts more doubt into DC in my mind than it maybe does towards TNC. But their last pick worked out fantastic as well. I didn't see how the OD fit into the draft, but they just wanted to guarantee that they had a great mid matchup, and that's exactly what happened. It just completely shut down Abed.
Yeah, Tibbin, we had a little bit of a discussion backwards and forwards about the importance of first pick or 10th pick, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And it seems to have seesawed all day. We've seen a few teams kind of rely on that first pick and snowball from there and build their drafts out from. We've also seen some of those 10th picks be really crucial picks.
Right. If we look at the first 2 games, the team that had first pick came out ahead, right? And then the last game does. But it's a matter of like how the teams decide to pick which hero and what stage. And in this game, they went with a Dragon Knight, last pick mid, without having any information on the enemy mid laner. And Dragon Knight is this hero who can like have a good game if he already knows his matchup, or can be completely demolished. And this is one of those situations where you pick an OD, and he couldn't even take his tower. Actually, the OD was the one to take the Dragon Knight's tower first at like 12 minutes in the game or something. The Dragon Knight kept going bottom lane, try to make something happen, but it kept hitting like a brick wall.
Yeah, impressive performance all round. Not just in the tournament, but also this evening as well, to bounce back like that from TNC.
Yeah, I mean, TNC really built their lineup around, picking off certain people with OD, and then, you set it up with stuns with both Nyx and Slardar. I think their lineup was really strong, where Digital Chaos, they felt like they were lacking in both stuns and just sort of a general long-term plan. Like, if the Abaddon wasn't able to get farmed, didn't even end up having, I think, Radiance by the end of the game.
Well, I think the Abaddon did well enough for farm levels. In fact, I thought the game was going to be over earlier, but I looked at the net worths, and DC was surprisingly doing well there. I think the mistake, or maybe the issue with their draft, was obviously the matchup mid was not a good thing, but they needed to try to gain some ground with the supports, with either the Undying or with the Crystal Maiden. And I feel like Dubu was all over the map doing stuff. I feel like Demon on the Crystal Maiden needed to be there with him, because almost every single time he's rumbling with heroes, he's fighting them, but they needed some kind of lockdown. And half the time he'd come into these crucial moments and he'd drop Tombstone and they'd just kill the tomb and they'd walk away. And it's like, oh, you surprised us here, but it does nothing.
Yeah, I mean, both those supports really didn't get much that game. Both of them under 2K net worth by the end of that. I mean, I just felt like Tims and Royer had such a large impact comparatively.
Yeah, they absolutely did.
And at the other end of the scale, Cuckoo, 12-1-1. Raven, 5-2-16. Those two have stood out for TNC in particular for their team.
Yeah.
And had another great game together.
Yeah, I think Raven is, I already respect him as a carry, but I think he's like up there in tier 1 right now. Like, I think he's extremely consistent at his cores. He makes very few mistakes in decision making in team fights and things like that. And I think he's adjusting decently to different heroes too.
Okay, we're going to take a look at the first fight that made any difference in this particular game, which was around about the 7-minute mark. Kevin, it's something that you've picked out. Do you want to talk us through it?
I cannot remember it, but if you press play, I guarantee that I'm going to instantly recognize it.
It's going to come up in a moment. Look, it's going to wait until it gets to 7 minutes, and then boom, like that, like
amazing
magic.
integration. This is one of the first pressures over here. Like, basically, Abed having a tough time in the mid lane. He rotates down to the safe lane to try to get a kill. Spectre jumps into the trees, TP's out in time. It just kind of showed that Dragon Knight didn't have a good laning stage. His rotations didn't work out so well. It was overall a huge fight, actually, but consistently, DC not really have enough damage. In fact, if Crystal Maiden was maybe there at the start, or maybe even the Undying as well, just a little bit more slow, they could have killed the Spectre.
We can even say that it was quite spontaneous, because they only TP'd with the Undying and the Crystal Maiden after they initiated on the fight. It wasn't like something preemptive and they're like, okay, they're going to TP, we're going to need to just have everyone here. Maybe if they did that, they would have got the Spectre kill and got the tower from there. And that could have probably snowballed their game.
Yeah. The next highlight we have is around about the 10-minute mark. You highlighted this because Bulwer didn't have his ultimate ready, if I remember rightly. We'll show it as it comes up to the 10-minute mark, and you can talk us through it.
Well, they killed Bulbo right before this, which is just a lot of pressure, but he TP's back to the lane. They actually hung around, and they were able to kill him again after he got right back to the lane. So it's kind of like a fake pack sort of scenario, but I just really felt like TNC used their heroes so well to actually guarantee kills. Like all the disables they had, they utilized every inch of damage that they had, whereas DC was always reacting. Mason TPs the lane, goes for the pounce, misses the pounce, didn't use Dark Pack there. He ends up getting killed. Like, it's just one of those tempo moments where DC looked like maybe not 4, but like 1 or 2 tiers worse of a team this game than they did in previous ones.
Yeah, this could go back to the first move at 7 minutes as well. They made this move, ran into a brick wall, and they kept trying to do it again and again until it worked. But they weren't having it.
Yeah, you got to execute it right, basically, especially at the top level. If you don't initiate your gank almost perfectly right at the start, if it goes a little bit bad, especially when you're behind or when they're abnormally tanky or you have less damage, then everything's pretty much ruined. You wasted time to walk there, all that stuff, and that was really what DC had trouble with. They still farmed well, but that last team fight basically just closed it out with 5 heroes dying. Like.
Yeah, I mean, as much as they farmed well, Cuckoo just felt so far ahead the entire game, and he was just fighting farm everywhere. He was level 21, while the closest next was Mason on 18 and Sark. Like, I think Cuckoo's presence that entire game was felt, and he really helped set up TNC to like just finish off this game completely.
Okay, we'll talk about MVP in just a moment. We do have one more fight to go through as well in this particular matchup. Kevin, do you want to talk us through?
Yeah, just they smoke ganked it here. They got to initiate. They killed 2 people to start. The net worths were decent here for DC, but when the fight begins like that, it's way too hard for them to win it. Especially they didn't get a tomb down. They didn't have a flesh heap, no undying heals or anything like that. It was just straightforward, them killing the supports first. And when that's the case, then your cores easily get controlled, and they even TP'd like to the safe lane to catch split pushing Dragon Knights. Just game got closed instantly.
Yeah, rough game for DC.
Yeah.
In fact, 2 rough games